I made Lauren watch weird science. This is So I Married a Millennial.
So I married a millennial. Now I'm watching all the things he knows. So I married a millennial. I married a millennial.
Hi there, and welcome to So I Married a Millennial. My name is Jeremy Levy, and this is my lovely wife,
Lauren Levy.
And we are a real-life married couple, in case you couldn't figure that out. We are also voice actors. I play Bumblebee on Transformers Cyberverse.
And I played Acerola on Pokemon Sun and Moon.
And we love pop culture. Now, we
do.
Are both technically millennials.
Very, very technically.
I have told people the title for this podcast, and people have given me guff, saying that I am an Xennial and not a millennial.
Well, I Googled it just the other day to cover our tracks, and we are safe.
So we're calling ourselves millennials by the letter of the law, and we are totally on opposite sides of the spectrum. I'm as old as you can get. Lauren is as young as you can get. And we realized that there were some real gaps in our pop culture knowledge. So we are doing this podcast, and every episode, I am going to bring to Lauren a staple of my 80s kid coming of age that she has not seen. And if all goes to plan, she will suitably cringe, and it will make for great digital audio television. That's the plan.
That's a good conceit.
Great.
I'm very sold.
That's great. So today we are doing the 1985 John Hughes classic, Weird Science. Weird Science. The Rotten Tomatoes official synopsis of this is, Rotten Tomatoes says, teen misfits Gary and Wyatt design their ideal woman on a computer, and a freak electrical accident brings her to life in the form of the lovely, superhuman Lisa. She outfits Gary and Wyatt in cool clothes, surprises them with a Porsche, and helps them stand up to jerks Ian and Max. But all the while, the boys must hide Lisa's existence from Chet, Wyatt's nightmare of a big brother. It has a 60% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 69%, nice, audience score on that same Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
Yeah.
As soon as we started watching this, I immediately understood, truly almost immediately, why you thought that this was a good one to start out with. Yeah. It was so bizarre right from the jump, and I feel like it was already not aging well in the first in the first seconds of screen time. I was like, I am understanding why you wanted to start with this particular piece.
I told a mutual friend of ours that I was starting with this as our first episode, and he goes, "Oh my God, you are going to melt. You're going to melt her brain." He was like, "That thing is a total fever dream."
And fever dream is a really, really great way to describe.
So we read the synopsis.
We did, yes.
Why don't you take me through your recollection of the plots as you saw it?
Okay. The plot of this is so fascinating. Okay, so we have two, which my first note though was, wow, actually pimply faced teenagers, which was one of my first reactions, because that, by the time we got into the early 2000s,
yeah,
no one had pimples.
Yeah. No,
I was like, wow, actual
at least that
pimples.
we were aware of on in media.
Yes. So I was like, wow. So we got, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I actually do not remember which one is Wyatt and which one is whatever. It's Blondie and Brunette.
That is incredible. Blondie is Gary.
Blondie,
Michael
Gary.
Hall, and Elon Mitchell Smith is Wyatt.
Okay.
You got this.
So we got Gary and Wyatt, and they are clearly nerds.
Yes. so far so good.
That is, so they are nerds. From the opening, the other thing was me going, "Oh, is that Robert Downey Jr.?"
That is true.
Which, that was shocking.
Without the junior.
And that was another note I made. I said, When did he change from Robert Downey to Robert Downey Jr.?
He was just Robert Downey. Also, no veneers. Old school teeth, which I thought was pretty.
We had real
interesting as
pimples.
well.
We had real teeth. It was going off in the start.
Yeah.
So Wyatt and Gary.
Wyatt and Gary.
Yeah. Are not the coolest kids at school. So they are best friends. Seems like they spend a lot of time in their room.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, how they decided to build this woman, it happened so quickly. It was like as if they'd been like, do you want to go play baseball? And he was like, hey, do you want to build a woman on the internet? Like that was... And the one was like...
Yes, it was a very jarring... So they were watching Frankenstein.
Yes.
On TV.
Yes.
But like, what a leap from like, girls won't talk to me. We're watching Frankenstein. What a leap of logic to be like, we should create a girl.
Correct.
Is a real, like, to me, getting from that, like, point A to point B is borderline insane, but sure, we'll go with it. And of course, like, he didn't mean, and he makes a point of saying this, like, he didn't mean, like, dig up a body.
Correct.
He wanted to create a computer program.
Correct.
So we'll give him that.
Sure, in the technical sense. But his commitment to the bit immediately was quite impressive. Like, the one is sort of like, I don't know, man. And then the other one is like, no, this is the best idea we've ever had. And then they just start doing it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. Also, I don't know if y'all knew how computers worked when this came out.
No.
But the way the computer sequence was absolutely insane. So they use the computer in a way that computers certainly don't work. And I don't know if people knew that computers didn't work that way.
I mean, that was like sort of a convention of the 80s, was that like computers were generally not understood by the general public.
Sure.
And they could be anything. Like, I think on some level, we, like, in the 80s, were like, sure, a computer could do that. And computers were like the ultimate plot device in every 80s movie, because it could be just whatever.
I guess, it literally could be anything, which they really took that and ran with it.
Yes.
My other favorite is they cut to the man in the control room.
Yeah.
Where is the control room? Is this the U.S. government?
I've watched this movie probably 100 times, and I thought that maybe I would better understand that viewing it now. And I don't.
No. Well, if anything, you actually know too much about computers now to know that that's not how it would work.
It's like the guy watching the internet. The guy like in charge of the internet.
And he's like
it's one guy.
Yeah, it's one guy. And he's like denied. And then they have to like try to go around it, I guess.
Yes.
But then it's just like weird images and like mazes. It's like desktop backgrounds. They're like, oh, we have to go another way through the internet because he hit deny. Absolutely bonkers. That whole sequence is absolutely bonkers.
There is a long history that I think still exists today in movies where people trying to make computer stuff more visually appealing on screen. That even happens to this day. Like, we still see people like on apps and computers.
The hackers.
Yes,
like,
and we're just like, that is not what that looks like at all. Clearly, you're trying to make this. And in the 80s, clearly, they went even farther with that, all sort of like computery stuff. But this is completely...
It's bonkers.
Completely bonkers. This, even at that time, was blowing all of that stuff out of, like, the visuals, and there was
it's
like
giving the Willy Wonka tunnel scene.
Yes.
Like, there's lights, there's weird shit. Like, it was otherworldly.
Yeah.
It was...
There's like a bowling ball, like a strike sound.
There's a strike. There's like a skull. It was trippy as all get out, and it was very confusing. So that whole thing happens, and we'll talk about that more later, because that might have been the craziest part of the whole movie, and there's actually a lot to pick from. But that whole sequence is absolutely insane.
I mean, the whole concept of computers in this world is beyond crazy.
Beyond. So all of that. Then the sky is changing, we're having a full meteorological event, all of that. And then this beautiful woman named Lisa walks out, which Lisa was a babe. Lisa was absolutely a babe.
Kelly LeBrock.
And then she just Also, the power, which I know is one of your biggest pet peeves in anything, though, when you don't know the rules of the world.
Yeah.
Which I guess we're suspending disbelief for this in general.
Oh, yeah.
But then she can just make things appear, and then they just decide that they're going to a bar. She's showing them this whole new world. She's opening their eyes, and they're both dating her. But she definitely likes one of them more. Wyatt.
She seems to like Wyatt more.
1,000,000%.
But also, like, so they create her. And also going back to the computer stuff, something that, like, you and I, we tried not to talk about this.
We did.
During the movie so that we could talk about it here. But even, like, there was a moment.
I just kept looking at you. I was like, what?
Well, there was a moment where they were feeding images into a machine.
Oh my God.
Because, so initially they make her.
Yes.
And Gary is like, that's it. That's all the computer power that I have.
That's all the computer power.
And there's like an image on the screen that says that she has a 5th grade reading level. And I think it says the computer...
Brain level.
Yeah. And they called her like a boring dipshit or something?
Yeah, they said, should we give her a brain? Like they asked, should we give her a brain?
Yeah.
And then they selected brain level boring dipshit. That was the actual on screen.
I don't think they selected that. I think it was just the amount
I feel like it was the options. There was like...
I think it was the amount of data, because this like moves to the next plot point, is that like...
That's why they start feeding things into the scanner.
Which also, I made a note here. This movie was kind of prophetic because it feels a lot like how we are training AI now.
Oh God.
It was kind of the exact, it is like a lot of what was going on in this movie is what is actually happening now. What Gary initially wanted to do, he's like, yeah, let's make a girl on the computer. We'll talk to her. We'll ask her stuff. He said, we'll do like crazy sex shit with her, ask her about crazy sex shit. That is not unlike what is happening today. And it's also not unlike what's happening today. Gary at one point is like, well, that's all the data that I have to feed her. And that's when it said 5th grade level, she's a boring dipshit.
We need more.
And Gary says, we need more. We need to tap into the wider internet.
And that's why they put the photo of Albert Einstein.
Exactly. So they have like a scanner, I guess.
Is that what scanners do? That's saying like that's what a scanner does, the same way that's what a computer does. Like,
exactly.
Okay.
But to get her to be smarter, get her to be more musical, they would scan in images of things.
Yes. And a lot of Playboy photos.
Yes.
A lot of Playboy photos and then Albert Einstein and some music to like keep it spicy.
Yes.
So they make her better. You're right. So they leveled her up from boring dipshit. She was all that. So,
and somewhere in the doing of this, we change over from science to just straight up magic.
Yes, 100%.
Like that's when you say like the sky opens up and like there's a dog on the ceiling and things get turned upside down and Gary tries to stop the computer and he tries to like smash it with a metal baseball bat and it smashes the base.
They unplug it. It's still going. Like
Gary says he goes, it's doing it by itself. It's like AI. It was a harbinger, babe.
Oh, if this is a harbinger for things to come, then we better murder Suya right now, babe. I don't want to live there.
Babe, it's gonna be fine.
Okay.
If Kelly LeBrock is there, it's gonna be totally fine. So the magic happens. They make Kelly LeBrock.
Yes.
And she's Lisa. And she's like a god.
Yeah, no.
They make like a god genie.
Yeah. Who is like obsessed with them and is like, yes, both of them, those little 15-year-old boys, which also a general note, I feel like we should have made them 16. I feel like we should have made them at least 16.
Yeah. There's a lot of weirdness here. There's a lot of like.
I feel like we are. I know things were a little looser in those early 80 days, but wow, I feel like we should have made them 16, especially when she's like in the lingerie store and she's like, "Do you think this will make a 15-year-old boy horny?" And it's like, whoa,
I mean,
lady.
How old do we think she was supposed to? Because it was the 80s, so people looked older.
Sure, I mean, I think that she was supposed to be in like her like early to mid 20s.
Yeah.
But still, the references to them being 15
over
and over again.
She's grooming them.
Yeah, 100%.
She is
and the only person that acknowledges that is the old woman at the lingerie shop who is like, what the fuck? Except she doesn't say what the fuck, but it's implied what the fuck.
I mean,
that's the only person who is like, huh?
It's disturbing, and it's like, and it's disturbing on two levels, because on the one hand, she is like, you created me, you control me, I am at your mercy. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, she's like grooming these very vulnerable, sheltered children who do not have the context or emotional maturity for the sexual stuff that she is actually
I gotta tell you, it doesn't read well. I gotta tell you, it's not reading great. But so Lisa's showing them the world and helping them feel more confident, helping them stand up for themselves. Sure. And then she wants them to have a party. And so then she goes to, I don't remember which one she went to. Oh, she went to, who's in Gary's parents. Yeah. With a gun? Which we do find out is a water gun. But she goes and basically question marks. So she goes and basically bullies his parents and then somehow make his parents forget about him.
She does horrible.
No,
I have a note in here that like she's kind of a genie, she's kind of a god, but she's also kind of a demon.
1,000,000%.
Like she puts people's lives in danger. She puts the guys, the nerds' lives in danger. She's maybe evil, and you're not really sure if she's like knows how all of this is going to end, because you have no idea what the limits to her powers are.
I don't know that she knows. I don't know that anyone knows. Things just keep happening.
Yeah, so it's like, did she know that everything was going to work out this way? And is she a god?
Her standing up to the parents was crazy. How she came in there being like, I'm taking your 15-year-old son to a party with sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like, get over it.
Yeah.
And they're naturally like, excuse me? And then she somehow makes them forget the son completely.
Yeah.
Takes him to the party. They have like a huge rager at the house because Gary's parents are out of town.
Yeah.
And then randomly at the party, they get to talk to the girls. That's all. We're progressing the teeny bopper romances who like are the girlfriends of Robert Downey Jr. and other nondescript stereotypical bully.
80s John Hughes bully guy.
Yeah. So it's like their girlfriends, but then they're also kind of like, whatever about them. Like, fuck those girls, which is also kind of bizarre, but okay. But so like we're progressing that plot line. It's going well, but then clearly we have to bring some sort of conflict in. So it's these like weird science, weird
good callback
villains who look like who I think are supposed to be scary, but look like they came out of a production of Chicago. You thought it was scary as a kid.
When I was a kid, I probably had nightmares about these characters. So we set up that like, so there are the other love interests outside of Lisa who are the bullies' girlfriends who have no character development whatsoever.
Not a one.
They are just.
You want to talk about just calling them Blondie and Brunette? That is even more accurate.
One of I think is named Hilly. Like I still don't remember their names at all. But they are the object of our desire. They're the goal. They're the things that we are supposed to be striving for as like an audience. Yes.
The boys to get.
So they
that's not good.
Yeah, so they are like yes. I mean, it was the 80s. That's how we thought. So they are chickening out and they're not really going for it, and Lisa is trying to cajole them into like being the heroes that these girls will fall for. So she conjures some real danger.
These real dangerous bad guys, which is also just crazy. That whole like they like smash through the windows. I don't think people are actually freaked out enough. I feel like
why are they standing there?
Everyone's just like standing there like, yeah, this is a normal thing to happen at a party.
Yeah.
Like, sure. But then in the overarching of the plot, they basically just tell them to fuck off, like, is the way that they resolve this conflict. But fuck off is like, they use, my mouth was actually dropped open by what was said, which we will not repeat on here. We will not.
Yes.
But we had bitch. We had the F slur, which was crazy. The liberal use of the F slur. Y'all needed Hillary Duff's 2000s campaign when you say that's so gay.
We didn't even have Hillary Duff.
She was alive, but she wasn't cooked yet. But absolutely crazy telling them to just like get out of the house, and they do. So like they like did it. They stood up, yay, and he's like pointing a gun at them, which also crazy, which we think is the water gun from earlier. Sure. Turns out it's a real gun. Was it the same gun? I don't know. Do they know? I don't know.
Anything. I mean, I think that's part of the charm, let's say, of this is that
charm
anything could be anything.
Charm is an interesting word.
You need to. I mean, like, you need to endlessly suspend your disbelief.
That is fair.
Because not even in the world of the movie nothing makes sense.
No.
Nothing is consistent. Nothing makes sense. Anything could happen. And it sort of like establishes that. So you can be like, yeah, sure, fine, whatever.
Sure.
But there were no rules. But
no.
I was struck. There's a real tonal shift at the end when those guys come in, which I get is part of the point. I mean, it's trying to raise the stakes. But like they like one of the mutants who I still find extraordinarily scary. Maybe I'm just scarred. Maybe it's on my soul. I find them.
It was
even
giving Community Theater Chicago to me.
Watching it again, I was re-traumatized all over again.
We have different definitions of what scary is, though.
And this, like, at one point, one of the guys like goes to sort of hit one of the members of the party with his arm, and the guy ducks and he like smashes a hole in the wall. Like, there's some.
No, yeah.
Like, Lisa has gone off of the rails.
By also like
on this one,
bringing all of these scary people to a party with, like, again, we're saying 15-year-olds. Like, these kids shouldn't even be drinking. Like, we're talking minors here. And she brings these, like, full mutant adults in leather that are weirdly also seem part animal. That's never explained. Don't know why. There's, like, a panther sound effect. The one woman is on a leash.
Yeah.
Weird things happening. The one guy is giving Sloth from the Goonies. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So those are the bad guys. They stand up to them. Everyone is so proud of them. So now they can go get the girls. So they do. And you're like, okay, sure. I guess that happens.
Yeah.
And then Chet, the brother who we haven't really talked about, who is like so over the top. Like, Chet is the scariest person in this movie.
So they have, so it's Wyatt's older brother, Chet, who is home from college, played by, and this was a great sort of subsidiary, because I was like, babe, that's Bill Paxton. To which you said,
who is Bill Paxton?
Yeah, so this is the fun. This is the fun.
Isn't the girl that played Aquamarine, is that his daughter?
Who is Aquamarine?
Oh my God, you haven't seen Aquamarine?
Who is Aquamarine? This is on full display.
Next episode, we'll be watching Aquamarine. Fabulous movie.
I took it upon myself, my darling, to find movies that Bill Paxton was in that you may know. Here is a list of movies. You know Bill Paxton, even if you don't know Bill Paxton. Here's. I
gotta tell you, I'm looking at his face right now.
Okay.
I'm not.
Bill Paxton, Aliens, Titanic. You never saw Titanic.
No, I only saw the end of Titanic, and that you want to talk about this scarred you as a child. I just saw the end of Titanic on TV as a kid. I was like, no, this movie isn't for me.
Okay, fair enough. Apollo 13, Twister. I know you just saw Twister because you wanted to see the new Twisters.
Yes.
He's the main guy in Twister. True Lies, Tombstone, Mighty Joe Young, A Simple Plan. Haven't seen any of these. This is great. These are all future episodes.
No, I've seen some of them. I've seen Twisters.
Oh, okay. This is Twister, but sure. This is the
first one.
The first one.
It's not Twisters. It's just Twister.
No, the sequel is Twisters.
I thought they were both called Twisters.
This is why we're doing this.
Okay, I would like to point out.
This is informative for both of us.
I would like to point out that the girl who plays Aquamarine, her last name is Paxton, but no relation to Bill Paxton.
Okay, good.
So that solves the mystery of that for everyone.
Great.
But so they get the girls. The brother then is like unbelievably scary and aggressive towards them.
Yeah. He's a sociopath.
Oh yeah, no, he's really scary. He like is pointing the gun like in their faces. It was crazy. They also then at the end go to a room where they never mention if he has a sister or not.
Yeah.
But like, whose room is that with all the My Little Ponies and things? They never address that.
There's like there's dolls. And
yes, there's
like,
dolls and My Little Pony
like snow
and like
globes and
yes. So that's where
I love that is the detail that you glommed onto.
Well, I was like,
you're like, wait a second.
Is this?
This makes no sense. I was like, that's what you glommed onto.
They never mentioned him having a sister. Where is the sister?
That's fair.
Where is the sister? I don't know. She doesn't exist. But so they stand up to Chet too. Chet can't boss them around, and Lisa then sort of frees them all so that they can be with Girly Pop 1 and 2, who's age appropriate, who apparently are not with the bad guys anymore. Sort of are, but sort of aren't. They tried to conjure another girl with the bullies.
Oh, yes.
And it didn't work, which was kind of crazy.
This was at the party at the end, there's this subplot where the bullies want to have sex with Lisa. And Lisa's like, no, I belong to Gary and Wyatt. And the bullies, again, Robert Downey Jr. and nondescript 80s
other
villain,
bully.
number 7. So there's actually this great scene that I love where the bullies who have been horrific the entire movie just sit down very genially with Gary and Wyatt in Wyatt's bedroom.
Yeah.
And have like a very calm, sort of reasonable conversation that just say, hey, we'll give you our girlfriends. You give us Lisa.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild. And I guess they kind of get their comeuppance. And finally they come clean and they say, hey, listen, can you keep a secret? To which the bullies are like, absolutely. And they tell the story.
Why would they trust them? But okay.
Which they tell the story of how they created Lisa. And then they offered to make another girl for the bullies.
Yes.
Because they're trying to capitulate, because they're still trying to be cool. They just want people to like them, which is like part of their story. So they try to recreate the process of making Lisa for the bullies, which like all of this is awful.
Yeah.
like all of this is just terrible that they're all just creating sex slaves.
Yes, 100%.
For bullies and whatnot. But
then they accidentally, instead, it's on a Life magazine because they didn't have a Barbie doll this time, which again, the Barbie doll, where did the Barbie doll come from? The nondescript sister's room who doesn't actually exist. Thank you.
Oh, actually, yeah. Actually, there's a whole subplot about this sister that got cut.
Who is she? Where is she? Honestly, that might be true. I don't know that for a fact, but it's something's not mathing. But so then it's on a Life magazine and there's a missile on it. So then a missile shows up.
Because they forget to hook up the
Barbie doll.
Yes.
So it scans. Again,
it's this logic of like images.
Sure.
All you need is an image of something, and then the computer understands every facet of this thing.
So then they make a missile, which that whole thing was very odd. But basically then, Lisa, it's all worked out.
You glossed over this missile that came up through the house.
Because it's so ridiculous. Like, I was like, what is happening? So we wrap it all up, and then they've got the girls. Chet has been dealt with and is gonna be fine. And then Lisa magically, before she goes away, makes everything in the house go back to normal so that the boys don't get in trouble. And that's just the end of that. Oh, and then his dad won't hug him.
Yes.
Which was crazy. He tries to hug his dad, and his dad is like,
Yeah, goes for a handshake. There's a real comment on masculinity in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
Chet's like, well, I wrote it down here. At one point, the morning after they make Lisa and they have this like wild party out, it's teased that Lisa is going to have sex with Wyatt. She calls it the gymnastics routine.
Because he fell asleep into the gymnastics routine.
You know, thank God that like they teed this up and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Was that part of her plan? Who knows? But he wakes up the next morning in the skimpy like ladies briefs and half top.
Yeah, that she was wearing when she arrived.
So Chet sees Wyatt in these ladies underwear and loses his mind.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. Oh, he calls it a severe behavioral disorder.
Oh yeah.
Wyatt is like, Chet, I can explain. And he goes, that is a severe behavioral disorder. And he loses his mind. The father won't hug him. The bullies are, giving way. Like, the misogyny on display
is astounding. Astounding.
It is,
but it all kind of wraps up. And then there's like a little clip at the end where Lisa is like the gym teacher and all the boys pass out because she's so hot.
Yeah, so she's going to fuck a whole gym team of nerds. She's moved on. She's moved on from...
And she just kind of winks and we're like, that's all, folks.
Okay.
Hit me with some trivia, babe.
So, on a budget of $7.5 million...
This was $7.5 million. You are joking.
Yes. It grossed a worldwide total of $38,934,000. So it was a hit. It was a massive hit. It was a huge hit. But anything like John Hughes did at the time, I feel like would turn to gold. More trivia. Kelly LeBrock initially turned down the role of Lisa as she was vacationing in France at the time and was having, quote, too much fun riding horses on the beach.
Sure.
Which feels like a very Lisa thing. She brought that. I think she brought that energy to Lisa.
I cannot be asked.
Demi Moore and Robin Wright also auditioned for the part of Lisa. Would she have gone on to do The Substance if she had been Lisa? I don't know. Tough to say.
It was not us.
Anthony Michael Hall, or as Lauren likes to refer to him, Blondie, and Robert Downey Jr. would later work together in the 1985-1986 season of Saturday Night Live, which is widely held to be the absolute worst season of SNL. That entire cast was basically fired.
Wait, did you say 85?
Yeah.
So the same year that this came out?
Yeah, 1985-1986 season.
They looked so young.
Yeah, so reception at the time, kind of a mixed bag. Roger Ebert liked it. He called LeBrock wonderful in her role. The New York Times wrote that Mr. Hughes shows that he can share the kind of dumb joke that only a 14-year-old boy could love. There are enough movie-going 14-year-old boys to make a hit out of Weird Science. Variety wrote, Weird Science is not nearly as weird as it should have been. I don't really know where else they wanted to go with this.
Hello?
And in fact, a rather conventional Kids in Heat film, and a chaste one at that. Variety was on some weird shit.
Who was writing for Variety? Were they okay?
Director, writer John Hughes squanders the opportunity to comment on the power struggle between the sexes for a few easy laughs. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune gave the film 1.5 stars out of 4 and wrote, what a disappointment Weird Science is. A wonderful writer-director has taken a cute idea about two teenage Dr. Frankensteins, creating a perfect woman by computer, and turned it into a vulgar, mindless, special effects cluttered wasteland.
Ooh.
Wow. So yeah, kind of a mixed bag.
Do you know when you watched this for the first? Because you, being born in 81,
yeah, I mean,
you wouldn't have seen this when you were 4.
Yes, I mean, you would be surprised at the stuff that I saw.
No, I wouldn't, babe. But
I mean, I'm sure I was 10 or so, maybe the first. I have to believe that this movie was part of my sexual awakening. I have very fond memories of Kelly LeBrock. You're welcome. Thank you, Weird Science. Or should I say, Lauren thanks you. She does not thank you. Yeah, so I mean, I was very, very young when first I saw this. And I sort of met it where it was at. So overall, what is your take? Did you enjoy it? Would you recommend that other people see this?
No,
not at all.
I don't think so. I had a good time.
Yeah.
If albeit a slightly problematic time, but a good time. And I mean, I was shook by a lot of what happened. I was very surprised. I don't know if everyone in the 80s was okay. I don't think this one holds up. Mm-hmm. And I don't know that I would necessarily. I think that there's a level of nostalgia needed for this that maybe most people would not possess if you hadn't grown up seeing it. So I don't know that I'm telling everyone to rush out and watch Weird Science. Personally, sorry if that's a hot take, babe.
It's fair.
It can stand on its own, but I don't know that I'm gonna go tell my friends that they have got to watch this one. But a very strong start. Thank you for sharing your culture
here
with me.
You are welcome. I will say this: I've not seen this movie in its entirety for a very long time. We watch it again. Outside of the inherent problematicness, the things that have not aged well, I really enjoyed it. I legitimately did. I love the zaniness. I love the charm of it. I think that the two leads are extraordinarily charming. I think Kelly LeBrock is very charming. I think Bill Paxton, your favorite actor of all time. Twister. I think he was very, very committed. I thought he was very into it. I think a lot of the jokes actually really land. There was a bunch of times, and you witnessed this, that I guffawed, and not ironically. I was laughing with the movie.
That is true.
John Hughes is a legend for a reason, and this may not be his opus.
This is not what I think of when I think of John Hughes.
But the man knows how to land a joke. He knows how to write. I had a really good time. Outside of the misogyny and
all
the
of
grooming,
the 75
we
issues.
Barely talked about the racial overtones. Bad,
to put it mildly.
Extraordinarily problematic racial overtones in this. Stereotypes. Anthony Michael Hall doing a weird blackish accent.
It was a full black accent. It was crazy.
So I will not sign off on any of these.
Okay, good.
But if
Thank you for
meet
clarifying.
it where it's at and understand that it was of its time, I really enjoyed it.
You know what? I love that for you. Thank you for sharing your culture.
You're welcome.
This certainly this screams 80s. Although I feel like one of my main takeaways, more movies should have theme songs and be more campy. I love camp.
Great.
I'm glad that our little jingle. I love when you say the name of the thing in the song. I love that.
That's the name of the thing.
Ryan George, one of our favorite YouTubers. Yeah. But the theme song, perfection.
Great.
Let's bring
so we have one
songs.
positive.
That is my
one positive.
That is my overarching positive.
So in summation, what did you think of Weird Science? I liked the theme song.
Did I stutter?
Fantastic. This has been So I Married a Millennial. Stay tuned. I am going to make Lauren watch all manner of weird things from my childhood, and hopefully she will cringe just as much as she did today.
Stay tuned.
So I married a millennial.